There we go. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the videos over the summer. That's the beauty of the Zoom, is that we can record the session and you can look at them later and I can share with you when I'm not available. So we're going to do just a real simple, gentle, fairly familiar practice as we gather back together this morning. And so I'm going to suggest that we make our way over to our mats and we begin lying down. And hi Dave. And if you want to lie with something under your head, that's for many of us, that's going to be more comfortable. So you might want to put a little blanket or something under your head. That's optional. But as you lie back, and you know, if lying down doesn't feel great, if you're stuffed up or whatever, you could start sitting or sitting in a chair as well, if that's your preference. But if you're lying down, get comfortable, or if you're sitting, wherever you are, get comfortable and let the weight of your body begin to settle down. And if you're lying, in addition to feeling your feet on the floor, I want you to really allow your low back to become heavy. And recognize the part of your low back that is receiving the support of the floor. And let the weight of you soften and settle, release into that support. Let your belly relax. Same thing with your head. Feel the weight of your head and allow it to drop back. Let the heaviness of your head release and settle back into the support of the floor. And with that awareness of that support, just allow all your facial muscles to relax. Release any tension in your forehead. Let your eyes be heavy. Allow the roof of your mouth to soften and broaden, the tongue dropping away from clinging to the roof of your mouth. Feel your jaw relaxing. So head is supported, head is heavy, low back is supported, low back is heavy, feet are planted. The body is relaxed. And then just begin to connect with your breathing. You could place your hands on your belly or arms at your side, whichever you prefer. But notice the feeling of your breath. Allow the breath to flow in through your nose if that's available. Let it fill up. And then allow the breath to release and empty. Again, through your nose if that's available, or through your mouth if you prefer. Let the breath release fully. So nice, full, deep, expansive breath in and out. Slowing down, taking all the time that you need for an expansive breath, filling up your lungs, sending that breath, that diaphragm down so the belly moves. And then always giving that exhale whatever time it needs to fully release and empty. Bringing your full awareness now to just this action of breathing, letting everything else fall away. Connecting with the feeling of your body as you breathe. This is one of the most important elements of our yoga practice, is to get in touch with our bodies. The feeling of our body, where we are in space, how it feels when we move. This movement now is quite subtle, the movement of the breath. We're going to try to maintain this level of focused awareness as we incorporate more movement. But before doing so, let's take a moment to check in, connect with and recognize how you're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally this morning. How you're doing, just like you would check in with a good friend. And then offering yourself empathy, understanding, compassion for how you're feeling, rather than judgment that it's right or wrong. And then consider what you might be needing today based on how you're feeling. You need a little more love, a little more compassion, some forgiveness, some understanding, some empathy, some kindness, a little encouragement. And perhaps choose one thing to focus on as we do our movement practice this morning. Breathe that one thing in, set it as your intention. And then when you're ready, if your eyes were closed, you can open your eyes. Let's take our feet off the floor and just give the knees a hug. Let your low back kind of scoop off the floor and just gently sway a little bit side to side. Nice, just massaging the low back. And then sway center, release your feet down. Take your arms up toward the ceiling, palms facing, and then reach your arms up toward the ceiling so your shoulders round forward off the floor. And then take this upper arm bone and retract it so it pulls the back of your shoulders down and presses the back of your shoulders down into the floor so your collarbones are more broad. Then reach your arms up again, shoulders rounding forward or up, and then pull those upper arm bones back into your shoulder socket. Press the back of your shoulder into the floor, broad across the chest. Open your arms out to the side, soften your elbows, hover your arms just slightly off the floor. Hollow out your armpits, release the back of your shoulder down, and then keep the back of your shoulder on the floor as you bring your arms up. So try to bring your arms back up, palms facing, without lifting the back of the shoulder off the floor. And then take a moment and notice where your ribs are. Can you keep the ribs from popping up as you start to reach your arms up and back and overhead? So the ribs are going to want to pop up. You're going to want to arch your back, but best you can put a little control, some little activation of the upper abdominals to keep the ribs from popping up as your thumbs are reaching back. So you're maintaining that neutral spine here. You might just have your thumbs reaching back. You might let the back of your hands rest on the floor. Can you take a deep breath in and out here without popping the ribs up or arching the back? Let the breath empty. And then keeping the back of the shoulders on the floor. Again, just bring your arms up. And then begin to bring one knee. Let's take the right knee into chest. Grab that knee and slide your left leg out straight on the floor. You can bounce that left knee a few times and then feel that left thigh nice and heavy on the ground. Let that left leg be loose and heavy. And then hug the right knee in a little bit closer and circle your foot around a few times. Just loosening up the ankle. You can spread out or wiggle your toes and then circle the ankle the other way. And then lift that leg up in the air, hold behind the thigh. You can clasp your hands and press your leg into your hands. Let's flex the foot, toes pulling towards you, and then point the toes. Do that again, flex your foot, and then point your toes, squeeze your toes a bit at the top. Shake that off a little. Let's bend that knee and release that foot down and take the other leg, hug it in, sliding the right leg straight, bounce the knee a few times. Right leg heavy on the floor now as the left knee hugs in closer. Let's circle the ankle a few times. Get rid of the creaks and cracks in the ankle and then circle the other way. Maybe spread out or wiggle your toes. And then lift the leg up, holding behind the thigh. You can let the leg be a little further away and then flex your foot and point your toes and do that again. Big flex, heel up, toes down, and then deep point. And then maybe squeeze your toes at the top and then release that foot down. Great. Let's have both feet on the floor now, and we're going to just roll to the side and come all the way around to all fours. If you're on a hard surface, I'd encourage you to take that blanket and cushion your knees so that they're nice and comfortable. But get nice and square, knees beneath hips, wrists beneath shoulders. Think about the line of your spine, nice and long from tail to crown. Take a breath in. As you exhale, start to round your tailbone down, round all through your spine, push into your hands and drop your head, feeling space between your vertebrae. And then come back to a long, flat back. Begin to tip your tail up, drop your belly, and start to pull your heart forward, extending through your spine. And then go back to neutral. And then just do those two movements, flexing and extending, in any way that feels right for you. You can move a little bit side to side if you like. You can move a little bit front and back if you like. You can shift your shoulders around a bit. So without looking at your screen, just diving into your own experience, what would feel nice now to loosen up your spine, to create some movement, to connect with your breath? Just moving in any way that serves you, that feels right for you at this point in your morning, at this point in your day. Connect with the feeling of the movement in your body. Every body is different, and our bodies are different in every moment, every day. Everything's changing, as we talked about earlier. So eventually we can make our way back to a nice long spine. And let's begin to take our hips back. You know, we're going to sit back on our heels to our ability. I know not everybody's knees bend as well as others. So however far back is right for you. And then beginning to lower your forehead down. If it doesn't come to the floor, you could rest it on your bent arms, or you'd be welcome to take a block and let your forehead be supported with a block. Again, maybe this doesn't feel great on your knees and your hips are up a little higher, or you can always put a blanket back there to support this bend in the knees. So some way to have your forehead on something so that the neck is relaxed, the weight of the forehead is supported. Let's take a couple moments to breathe into the upper back and allow that breath to release out. Maybe reconnect with that intention, that focus, that theme for your practice this morning. And then when you're ready, lift your heads up. Let's reach our arms out in front. Have your hands wide as shoulders, maybe a bit wider. Come onto your knees, curl your toes under. Let's lift our knees a little bit off the floor and then start to take the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Your feet are about hip distance apart. Your hands are firmly planted. Maybe knees soften a bit as the hips draw up and back, head dropping down, looking back towards the feet. Shoulder blades might be kind of collapsing in towards each other. Let's try to create a little space across the upper back between the shoulder blades, space for the head and neck. Let's bend a knee and let a heel reach toward the floor. And then alternate bending the other knee, letting the other heel reach toward the floor. If that feels good, you might do that again on both sides, or you could just be drawing the hips back. Let's go ahead and bend both knees. Let's find length as we lift the back of the hips up, maybe lift the backs of the thighs up a bit. Deep breath in and out here. You can sigh it out if you like. And then we'll walk our hands back towards our feet, lowering our heels. Your hands now could be on the floor. If you'd like a little more support, they could be hugging your shins a bit here. Let's allow the head to release down as we feel the feet firmly planted. We'll take another breath into the upper back. Again, let the breath empty. And then just draw your low belly in for some support and start to roll yourself up. Feel the back of the legs supporting this. Start to unfurl your spine. Start to stack vertebra on vertebra on vertebra on vertebra as you slowly, gradually come all the way up, lifting your head. Feel your feet firmly planted as you stand tall. Let's reach the arms out wide and broaden across the chest and back. As the feet root down, let's lift the arms up. Let the shoulders and the ribs come up as you stretch up. Lift your heart, breathe, and then allow your arms to release down at your sides. Great. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that ideally you can have two blocks. We're going to do a little modified sun salutation to begin with. So we're going to work with our two blocks. So just place them a little in front of your feet at the front of your mat. And then again, standing rooted and tall, let's reach the arms out. Inhale and reach the arms up and overhead, just like we just did, lengthening, lifting. And then we're going to swan dive. So arms sweep out, knees soften, allowing our hands to come onto the blocks. Get the blocks right under your shoulders. And then bend your elbows a bit and let your head release down. Knees can be soft here, comfortable for your low back. Head relaxing toward the floor. And then pressing hands onto blocks, straighten the arms, and can you lengthen out through the crown of your head, extending, lengthening your spine with your in-breath. And then exhaling, again, knees soft, elbows soft, letting the head hang down, dangle. So let's get our feet hip distance apart. We're going to bring the blocks next to the feet and take a big step back with the right foot into a lunge. So as we lunge, we're going to let the hips sink a little bit, press back through the heel, pull the heart forward, and find a length from heel to crown. So we could have a lot of support in our hands, or we could try to find some support from our core here, maybe hugging the thighs in a bit so that maybe there's a little less weight on the hands. Let's take one more breath here. And then we're going to bend the back knee and drop it onto the floor. Again, if you're on a hard surface, feel free to slide a blanket under there or fold your mat over. We're going to unfurl the back toe. And if it's comfortable, maybe let your hips sink a little bit down. Let your heart lift up a bit. Now we might bring the blocks a little further back, or you could bring hands onto knee as you start to lift your heart up a bit more. Maybe allowing the hips to shift a little more forward, or maybe you feel like you're far enough forward. You could take the same hand as the back leg and sweep it up in the air. Can you put a little weight in the back knee as the arm reaches up and overhead, breathing in. And then let that arm come back down. Find the blocks. Let's bring them a little more forward, more in line with the front foot or toes. And we're going to curl the back toes under and press up to lunge again, lengthening out from heel to crown, taking a breath. Then let's step that back foot in, plant your feet again hip distance apart. We'll go to the second side, big step back with the left foot now. Can you let your hips sink down a bit, pressing out through the heel, lengthening, pulling the heart forward. Maybe a little less weight on the hands. So hug your thighs in. Take a breath here. And then exhale that back knee down. Unfurl the back foot. Allow the hips to maybe sink a little more forward. As your heart lifts up, you might bring your hands back, or you might place a hand on the knee. Same arm as the back leg can sweep up and overhead. As the back knee presses down, we can lift the arm up, lift the ribs, lift the shoulders. Take a big breath here. And then exhale your hand back down. Find the blocks, bring them a little more forward. Let the hips sink if that feels all right for you. And then let's curl the back toes under. Lift up again to a nice long lunge, lengthening out through your back heel. Back of the neck long, crown extends forward. Take a breath here. As you exhale, step that back foot in. Feet can be hip distance or closer together. Walk the blocks a little more forward so they're right, your hands are right under your shoulders. Allow your head to drop. Breath into the upper back. Let that breath empty. Again, draw the belly in, leave the blocks, roll yourself up. Unfurl your spine till you come up to stand. All right, we're going to root down again and reach the arms out and up and overhead. Exhale and swan dive forward. You can grab onto your blocks now or set them out to the side. We're going to make our way back to downward facing dog. So you could drop onto your knees and come back and make your way to down dog, or just step back to downward facing dog. Rounding through the hands, hips going up and back. Take a breath here. With your next exhale, lower into a straight arm plank or push-up position. Knees could be down here or knees can be up. Pushing into the hands as you find length here. Now, if this is too much on your wrists, you're welcome to come down onto your forearms and be in a forearm plank. So find a way to be in some sort of long body position here for one more breath. Nice. And then let's drop to knees and lower ourselves all the way down onto belly. Allowing your chest to sink heavily into the floor as you slide the heels of your hands back by your low ribs. So now feel the weight of your body, the front body settling into the floor. How close can your chest become? Your nose smushing into the floor. Lift the chin and the nose so you're looking straight down, just hovering your head close to the floor. Now let's slide our shoulder blades up toward our ears and then slide them back toward the heels. Try that again. Just feel those shoulder blades sliding up and sliding down. And then let them come to land right where they like to be. And then from right between those shoulder blades now, start to lift your chest up. Start to pull your heart forward as the heel of the hands press back. Don't come up too high. This will be baby cobra here. So you're up just high enough that you can still lift your hands a little bit off the floor. Go ahead and do that. And then lift your elbows up and squeeze in. Just feel those upper back muscles working to pull into your midline. And then release your hands. Release your chest again down close to the floor. Just relax into the support of the floor again. All right, beginning the same way. Lift up from between the shoulder blades. Press the heels of the hands back as you pull your heart forward. You could stay here or continue pulling your heart forward, coming up a bit higher into cobra. And then lower back down. Now, slide your hands palms up, down next to your legs. Let's press the front of the hips into the floor and lift the legs up, pointing the toes back. Then reaching back through your fingertips, pull your heart forward and lift your chest up here. Nice low cobra, or locust pose, I should say. Could you press your hips down, lift your legs a bit more? Could you pull your heart forward and lift your heart a bit more? Do what feels right for you as you take one more breath. And then exhale to release. Just take a breath here. You might bring your hands back alongside your chest to really feel the floor supporting you. To let all that back bending energy fall away. And then when you're ready, push up and back to knees. Take your hips all the way back. Walk your hands back. Again, child's pose, maybe with the block supporting your head or your arms if your forehead doesn't reach the floor. Breathe in and out here. Check in. Offer yourself some kindness. Then lifting your head up, bring your hands next to you. Can you curl your toes under, walk your knees close in, and then just kind of sit back on your heels to get a little stretch into the feet. Now, some of us, our feet, this isn't going to feel great. And if it doesn't work for you, you don't have to do it. But it can be nice to stretch out the bottom of the feet, the back of the ankles a little bit here. So one breath here. And then let's again walk the hands out, and you can separate your knees, hip distance, and make your way to downward facing dog. One last time. Breathing in and out here. We'll look a little forward, walk our feet up towards our hands. You can grab the blocks if you like, or just hang out, fold it over. And when you're ready, we'll sweep the arms out, inhale and rise up, reach up. And exhale, arms all the way down at our sides. Just take a moment here, ground down, stand tall, check in, connect with your breath. Let's turn and face our device, take our feet out nice and wide enough that they're about as wide as your wrists. And we're going to turn our right foot in, and we're going to turn our left foot out. So we have this back foot and hip turned in. We're going to bend the front knee. Trying to get that knee kind of over the ankle, the foot, and then straighten it. We're just bending and straightening that knee. Looking to see that the knee is tracking in the direction of the foot. And then the next time the knee is bent, we'll pause here. Hips are fairly level here. Now let's try lifting that front heel a little bit off the floor. And as the heel is raised, can we feel as though we're pulling that heel back toward the midline? There's no actual movement, but the energy of the heel is pulling back. Can you feel how that turns on kind of the underline of the leg? So that energy of the heel pulling back for one more breath. And then allow that heel to lower down. Now, hands on hips. We're going to tip over, and I want you to, rather than head tipping you over, bring your awareness down to your belly and then tip your hips over. Let your head follow, letting your bottom arm rest on your bottom leg. Back foot still firmly planted. Reach your top arm forward, and let's open that arm up toward the ceiling. Create some space from your bottom elbow to your bottom shoulder, from your bottom shoulder to your top shoulder, and lengthen up through this top arm. The energy is pulling you up, but you can stay down into your legs, knee bend. As the arm reaches up, take a breath. As you exhale, let your head release to look down at your foot. Release your neck. Take another breath here. And then as you exhale, take that arm up in the air, reach it behind you, sweep it down. We're going to sweep that arm up and alongside the ear. Thumb up, pinky down here, arm kind of rolling down. Then let's roll the belly and chest towards your device. As you plant that back foot, let's reach the arm long up and overhead, stretch all through that side and take a breath. Then sweep that arm down as you exhale. And then reach it back behind you. Let's inhale and rise up to proud warrior. Arms reaching out. You can be looking forward or over that front arm. Can you think about, rather than your arms just being held up by your shoulders, can you firm up these muscles in your upper back and let them help to hold your arms out? As you take another breath here. What do you feel? What do you notice? How is the breath moving in your body? How is your body feeling? Take another breath. Connect with your strength, your determination here. And take one more breath. Nice. Go ahead, release your arms, straighten your front leg. We'll turn both feet forward. And then let's turn this back foot in and turn the right foot out. Hands on hips. Again, we'll begin bending and straightening that front knee. Checking, getting that knee tracking in the direction of the toes. You decide how deep of a bend you want to go this morning. The next time the knee bends, pause there. And again, we're going to lift that front heel a little bit off the floor and then feel the energy of the heel pulling back towards your midline. So you're working that underline of the leg, that inner underline of the leg. So pulling that heel back, then go ahead and let the heel lower down. Bring your awareness down to your belly, and let your hips tip over. Let your bottom arm rest on your bottom leg. Take your top arm forward and let's open it up. Yeah. So sometimes we collapse down here. So create some space. Space from bottom shoulder, top shoulder, arm reaching straight up. You can look up and see that it's up and it's not reaching behind you. But then release your head to look down at the floor. Take a breath here. As you exhale, let that arm reach back by your hip. Sweep it down, around, and up and alongside your ear. Thumb up, pinky down. And then roll the belly and chest forward, kind of under that arm. Plant the outer edge of the back foot as you stretch and reach overhead with that top arm. Breathe. And then again, exhale, sweep that arm down. Reach it behind you and inhale and rise up to proud warrior. So sometimes we lift up from the neck or the jaw. Sometimes we lift up from the shoulders. So relax the neck and the jaw, relax the shoulders, firm up the upper back muscles to support this lift of the arms. And let's stay here for a few breaths. Are you letting that breath empty? Can you feel it expanding within you? Lots of space here. What else do you feel? What else do you notice? One more breath. And then relax your arms. Nice. Straighten that front leg. Let's turn both feet forward. Hands on hips. We can let our hips come a little bit forward. Draw the elbows in. Lift the heart up. Little back bend here as we breathe in. And then as we exhale, hinge forward to flat back. Start to slide your hands down your legs as you continue to hinge over. Let your hands come to the floor. Let your head drop down. Your knees can be bent here if that feels better for your low back. Release your head down. You can even take your arms a little out in front, shoulder width apart, and draw your hips back, kind of like a modified downward facing dog here. Breathe in and out here. Then let's walk our hands back underneath and then bring your hands up onto your hips. We'll push down into our feet and legs. Inhale and come halfway up. So back of the leg supporting you here. Pause. And then on your next inhale, push down and inhale and come all the way up. Great. Let's heel into our feet together, or we can jump our feet together. And we're going to make our way down. Or no, let's do a little balance work first before we make our way down. So we're going to put our feet right beneath us, right? So, and if you're more comfortable balancing and having a wall nearby or having a chair nearby, go to the wall or go up where you have something to hold on to. But I'd like you to just kind of shift your weight. So kind of shift your weight into one foot and lift the heel maybe, and then shift your weight into your other foot and lift the heel. So you have that awareness of having weight on one foot, and then you have awareness of having the weight on the other foot. So let's shift the weight into one foot now and just begin lifting the knee up on the other foot. And then put that foot down, shift the weight into the other foot, ground through that foot, and then bring the other knee up. Good. And bring that foot down. Shift the weight onto the first foot, ground through that foot, and bring the knee up. And then can we drop the knee down and let the leg go behind and lift the heel up? So you're kind of activating the back of the leg. Again, bringing the knee up in front, and then dropping the knee down, bringing the heel up. One more time. Bring the knee up in front, dropping the knee down, and bringing the heel up behind. Great. Release that foot down. Shift the weight into that foot. Ground through that foot, and then bring the other knee up. Nice. Let's drop that knee down and bring the heel up behind. Great. And then we'll bring that knee up in front. Drop the knee down, bring the heel up behind. One more time. Bring the knee up in front. Drop the knee down, bring the heel up behind. Great. And then plant that foot down. Just shift your weight and shift your weight. So sometimes that awareness of shifting the weight helps us to feel that grounding. It can be a nice way to begin our balancing practice. Great. All right. We're going to come all the way down onto our mats now. And I want you to be kind of in the central part of your mat with your hands behind you. And we're going to separate our feet so they're slightly wider than the hips. And we're going to begin to roll to one side. So rolling to the sides of the feet, knees dropping to one side, then bringing the knees up, roll the other way. And then bringing the knees up. So this time we're going to roll to the side, and as you're rolling to the side, take that one hand from behind and let both knees come all the way down onto the floor. So knees are bent, both knees are down, and the inner line of the back leg's on the floor, the outer line of the front leg, this foot is in front of this thigh. Now this arm that came from behind, start to reach it around till it reaches around towards the wall behind you. And take a breath here as you're reaching back. And then come back around. Let that arm kind of reach out to the side. This time we're going to bring that arm around, but we're going to place that hand just on the shin side of the front knee. Other hand is on the thigh side of the front knee. So we're going to orient our shoulders over this front knee. And then we're going to start to bend the elbows and lower down over that front knee. We might come down onto our forearms. The head might come further down. This back leg, we can keep the knee bent. If you prefer to straighten that leg out behind, you can. But we're just going to lower our weight over this front knee and thigh. So we're breathing and stretching into that front hip. Let's take a few breaths here. And let the breath empty out. Do that again. Deep breath in. And letting the breath go. Couple more breaths on your own here. Full emptying of breath. And then we can bring our hands on either side of the front knee and lift the chest up. We're going to start to lean back and bring the knees up. And then we're just going to let them come all the way around to the other side. So your knees could be quite bent. You could have a little more space in the bend of the knee. The hand from behind is going to come around, reach forward and reach back around towards the wall behind you. Take a breath here. And then let that arm reach back again behind you. This time as that arm comes forward, place that hand down on the shin side of your knee. Place the other hand on the other side of your knee, and we're going to lower the chest down over that knee, bringing the forearms to the floor perhaps, or maybe you drop down a little further. If your head comes all the way down, great. This back knee can stay bent. You could straighten that leg if that's your preference, but we're lowering our weight over this front knee and thigh, and let's breathe into that front hip. Deep breaths in. And full release of breath here. Feel your body. Feel your breath. Just sense into this moment, letting everything else fall away. One more deep, full breath. Letting the breath empty all the way out. And then hands on either side of the knee as we lift the chest up. We'll go ahead and lean back and bring the knees up. Let's spin our legs around, and we're going to lower down onto our backs. We're going to set up for bridge pose here, so better not to have a blanket under your head at this point. Bring your feet in so your heels are more or less under your knees. Your feet are hip distance apart. Arms are at your side. Back of the neck is long. Initially, all I want you to do is push your feet down. Don't lift anything up. But if your feet press down, you may notice how the backs of the legs fire and something kind of wants to lift up. So let's go ahead and let the hips start to lift up. Take your hips up into the air, feet are pressing down, knees and shins are going forward as your hips rise up into the air. Take a breath at the top. And then with your exhale, try to release your spine as gradually as you can. Vertebra by vertebra, by vertebra, by vertebra. Slow, gradual, incremental lowering down. Once you're all the way down, just let everything relax and take a breath. Let's do that again. Push your feet down, activate the backs of the legs. Go ahead and lift your hips up into the air, knees and shins forward, hips rise up. If you like, you could lift your heels so your hips come up a bit higher. Can you keep your hips at this height, but descend your heels down? Take one more breath at the top. And then that slow, easy, gradual, incremental, lowering down, vertebra by vertebra by vertebra, until you're all the way down, letting everything release and relax here, taking a breath. Let's roll to the side, push ourselves up to sitting. I'd like you to find one of your blocks, and we're going to go ahead and sit on that. So have it the long way, and then just get up and sit on that block. You could also, if sitting cross-legged isn't comfortable, you could do this sitting in a chair, if that's more comfortable. Either way, we want to feel our sitting bones rooting down. If you're sitting on the block, imagine roots growing down from your sitting bones down into the block, into the floor. And as we send those roots down, feel the line of your spine rising up. Let's place our right hand on the floor behind and bring the left hand across. Now I want you to think about your navel. Your navel, when you're here, is facing forward. As you bring your arms around, your navel starts to spiral. Can you bring your navel back to face forward? As you root down and feel the line of your spine, take a breath in. And with your exhale, begin to spiral your ribs, your chest, your shoulders around towards that back arm. Keep the chest open. Keep yourself spiraling. Let your head and neck follow. Everything's spiraling around to the right, but then can you bring that right hip bone and draw it back toward your midline? So we have some action and resistance. Upper body spiraling around to the right, hips and belly, pelvis staying forward. And then a couple of deep breaths here, in and out. Feel how that breath is moving. Let it fully empty and release. One more breath. And then go ahead and begin to release your head and neck, your shoulders, unwind yourself so you're facing forward. Again, root your sitting bones down to rise up. Feel this line of your spine. Try to maintain this line as your left hand goes behind. Your right arm comes across. Let your ribs, chest, shoulders spiral around to the left, but then take that left hip bone and draw it back towards the midline. So the pelvis kind of stays facing forward as your upper body spirals around. And then take a few deep breaths in and out here. It's a little challenging sometimes to get the fullness of the in-breath, but as we allow the breath to fully empty out, you may find an ability to move a little more deeply into that twist. The bottom of your next exhalation, go ahead and begin to unwind head, neck, shoulders, chest. Great. All right, we'll make our way off of our block. Let's make our way again to lying down. And at this point, if it's more comfortable to have a blanket under your head, go ahead and get that blanket under there. Let's, once we're down, bring our knees in and then take your knees wide. You could just hang out here supporting your knees, or bring your heels over your knees and you could grab onto your ankles or 2 fingers on your big toes, or wrapping the outsides of your feet, trying to bring the weight of the heels out over the knees. And you might enjoy just kind of hanging out here or gently swaying side to side in this happy baby pose. Or you could bring a heel in towards the midline and open a leg out to the side and take a breath. You could bring that heel back in towards your midline, open your other leg out towards the side and take a breath. You could just again have heels stacked over knees, or you might take both legs out to the side, drawing heels out and down and taking a breath. And then allow your heels to draw back in, let go of whatever you're holding on, release your feet to the floor, take your feet maybe about as wide as your mat and allow your knees to drop in towards each other. If that feels all right for your hips. Your knees, take a breath here. Then go ahead and separate your knees. We're going to start to transition to our final relaxation. So if you're chilly where you are, you want to put on a layer, go ahead and do so, or put on some socks. If you want to grab something again for under your head, you can. And as we begin to straighten our legs, I want you to try something here. Once you're lying down, I want you to put your feet together or kind of close together or touching if that works for you. And I want you to just try this little rocking sensation. So we're just going to flex and point, not a deep flex or a deep point, but just kind of some movement, flexing and pointing. And so this movement of the feet is going to create just some movement in the whole body. So you start to feel sort of a rocking sensation from the movement of the feet. And you might feel how that is creating some movement in the weight of the head. So just feel that sensation of movement in the head, so the neck can maybe receive that movement as well and maybe relax a bit more. So just kind of wiggling the weight a little bit with this action in the ankles and the feet. Maybe doing this a few more times. And then just let it relax. You can separate your feet a bit more now. And we're going to try to allow the body to really relax now. So if there's any more shifting that you need to do or supporting, some people find it really helpful to put a little something under the knees. You could put your blocks under there. You could put a little bolster or a blanket so that there's a little bend in the knees. Some of us are going to find that more comfortable. So we're going to take this time at the end of our class to let the benefits of the practice kind of be received and felt. This is an opportunity to let go of all listening and doing and let go of all instruction and just drop into being as we are. So with your eyes closed, or you could leave them open if you prefer. Just feel your weight settling. Feel little by little and layer by layer a sense of letting go. So often the only time we really relax is right before falling to sleep. But here we are in the middle of our day, giving ourselves this opportunity to experience deep relaxation. Letting the toes relax, the feet, the ankles. Feeling the weight of the calves, the knees, the thighs releasing into the floor. Heavy. Loose and relaxed. Allowing the low back, the hips, the pelvis, the belly, all relax, soften, release heavily into the floor. Letting the weight of the back, the shoulders, the arms and hands rest down. The palms softening. The chest opening, releasing. relaxing, letting go. Allowing the weight of the head to be heavy. Letting the jaw relax. The temples, the eyes, the forehead, all soft, smooth. Releasing, relaxing. And letting the mind rest here now. Nothing to do, nothing to control. Just let yourself be for a few minutes here. As you continue to rest and lie back, I'll share some words with you from Danna Faulds. She says, life comes as is, no warranties, no extra button sewn inside the sleeve, no spare tire in the trunk. The twists and turns of circumstance or illness catch us unaware. Each day 1,000 reasons to despair, lament, forget the reason we are here. And yet, despite the odds, the flame inside each one of us burns true. Like butterflies emerging from cocoons, we learn to spread our wings and fly. We seek and find the light. This body, mind, is born with all that is required to know freedom. Over time, we find life's only guarantee. We cannot be separated from divinity, from the flame that's inside us, nor can we be cut off from the source of our supply. Yes, we will get older and eventually die, yet that is but a change in form. The essence of us soars as freely as a butterfly over fields of wildflowers, beauty sipping nectar, blessed and evanescent. In form and essence, we are beauty, whole and simply present. So you're welcome to continue lying back as long as you like. If you're ready to transition now, you might bring your feet to the floor, you might roll to your side, take a little time. You might eventually make your way up to sitting. Bring hands to heart. Close out your practice with a little love for yourself. Perhaps setting an intention for how you'd like to move forward into your day. Deep love and gratitude. Thanks for being here this morning. Peace. And if you want to head off, that's fine. If you want to come back and say hi to your friends, chit chat, hang out, we'd love to see y'all, say hello. I'll stop the recording. Let's see. Stop recording.